A series of reports by The Guardian and Washington Post reveal NSA's secret activities through leaked documents.
Next, new revelations about the government's ability to crack through important internet privacy safeguards.
This was the last bastion of privacy on the internet.
But you may ask what it contains. It revealed the program called PRISM.
National Security Agency is running a massive program to track the locations of hundreds of millions of cell phones around the world.
Was a covert surveillance initiative by the NSA, aka National Security Agency. Its aim? To monitor electronic communications, including emails, chats, and social media posts, with the goal of gathering intelligence on foreign targets linked to terrorism or threats to national security. Major tech giants were reportedly compelled to hand over user data under court orders.
Involves using their relationships with technology companies to get hold of things like emails, messages, or other information.
This sparked a global debate about privacy.
Let's hear a shout out for Edward Snowden.
This is about the unconstitutional, unethical, and immoral actions of the modern-day surveillance state.
In a dramatic turn of events, an 18-page presidential memo surfaced, revealing President Obama's directive to intelligence officials. Compile a list of overseas targets for cyber attacks.
I never made claims that all the surveillance technologies that have developed since the time some of these laws had been put in place somehow didn't require potentially some additional reforms.
But that was just the beginning. The NSA's covert activities extended far beyond borders, hacking into computers in Hong Kong and mainland China, including military systems. Shockingly, even the mobile phone of Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel wasn't safe from NSA surveillance.
Germany is summoning the U.S. ambassador to meet with the country's foreign minister because of spying allegations.
Across the pond, Britain's GCHQ was caught red-handed.
British Intelligence Centre GCHQ got around UK privacy laws by using American intelligence.
Discussions between NSA and GCHQ hinted at sinister tactics, deception, propaganda, and even manipulating social media to sway public opinion. But the question is, how did he pull off one of the most audacious leaks in modern times? So we arrive at Edward Snowden.
Who you are and what you're thinking.
My name's Ed Snowden. I'm 29 years old. I work for Booz Allen Hamilton as an infrastructure analyst for NSA in Hawaii.
At just 29 years old, a high school dropout whose prowess with computers has seen him through the ranks, serving both the CIA and a contractor for the NSA.
What are some of the positions that you held previously within the intelligence community?
I've been a systems engineer, systems administrator, senior advisor for the Central Intelligence Agency, solutions consultant, and a telecommunications information systems officer.
During his brief tenure at the NSA, Snowden unearthed a troubling truth. The agency had dangerously exceeded its limits.
The NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. It ingests them by default. It collects them in its system, and it filters them, and it analyzes them, and it measures them, and it stores them for periods of time, simply because that's the easiest, most efficient, and most valuable way to achieve these ends.
Snowden's findings revealed an extensive government surveillance program, making him a fugitive wanted for one of the most significant national security breaches in U.S. history. But how Snowden did it? Well, skipping high-tech hacks, Snowden chose thumb drives, but his escape wasn't straightforward.
I applied for asylum in 21 different countries, all throughout Western Europe and other parts of the world. And all of them tried to avoid giving an answer because they didn't want to say one way or another, or alienate the United States government by taking a public side against them.
It hinged on meticulous planning and fortunate circumstances.
I've been extremely fortunate. I made an extraordinary amount of money for someone with my qualifications before I left, and I took everything that I had with me.
How do you access that money?
Well, it was in cash.
Nestled in the tropical serenity of Hawaii, Snowden, contracted by Booz Allen Hamilton, found himself thousands of miles away from the prying eyes of NSA headquarters in Maryland. With a 6-hour time lag, While most of Fort Meade was winding down, his workday was just hitting its stride. But it wasn't just the distance that shielded him. It was his mastery of the outdated thin client system. Unlike ordinary users, Snowden, a systems administrator, wielded unparalleled privileges. With his high security clearance, he danced through digital barriers, ghosting through the NSA's internet without leaving a trace. As an auditor, he could slip into any user's shoes, accessing classified information undetected. And armed with this authority, he wielded thumb drives like keys, seamlessly copying sensitive data from one computer to another, all without raising the slightest suspicion. After only 4 weeks with the NSA in Hawaii, Snowden felt compelled to unveil their covert activities to the world. Aware that mere words wouldn't suffice, he covertly downloaded damning documents, slipping thumb drives past security undetected. Craftily, he extended a leave of absence citing epilepsy, disappearing from scrutiny. As authorities grew suspicious, Snowden fled to the sanctuary of Hong Kong, where he entrusted his revelations to trusted journalists Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras. The expose unleashed global debates, forcing society to confront the NSA's clandestine power in a way that would resonate for years to come. Snowden found himself in a precarious position. Despite relentless efforts by the US to extradite him from Hong Kong, he slipped through their grasp and boarded a plane bound for Russia.
He was accompanied by a representative from WikiLeaks. Snowden is trying to make his way from Russia to Cuba and then to Ecuador for political asylum.
Initially, Snowden found refuge in Russia after Putin stated that there was no extradition agreement with the US.
Что касается возможной выдачи куда бы то ни было, то мы можем выдавать каких-то граждан иностранных государств только в государства, с которыми у нас есть соответствующие международные соглашения о выдаче преступников. С Соединенными Штатами у нас такого соглашения нет.
However, Putin made it clear that he disagreed with Snowden's actions, condemning his disclosure of US secrets.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said if Snowden wants to stay in Russia, he must stop leaking American secrets.
Snowden sought asylum in other countries but faced continuous rejections. He also expressed willingness to return to the US under certain conditions.
How would you describe the government's reasonableness in this case? What would you be looking to from them for you to return?
Well, so far they've said they won't torture me, which is a start, I think. But we haven't gotten much further than that.
In 2020, Snowden was granted permanent residency in Russia, and in September 2022, Putin granted him Russian citizenship.